TNA Wrestling crossed that line again as we are 1 week away from TNA's debut on AMC and, of course, Genesis next Saturday. But obviously, the big debut next week on AMC next Thursday is looking stacked. But before we get there, we need to get rid of this week. I was going to get rid, but we need to get watch and preview this week's TNA Impact, which kicked off with the Hardys. Now, the Hardys over the last few weeks have had issues, as you all know, with the Righteous, who have been playing some form of mind games with Matt and Jeff recently uh, on Impact. And Matt and Jeff have really had enough, and they called out the Righteous this week. And ultimately, it's on Genesis, the Hardys versus the Righteous for the TNA World Tag Team Championships. Will the Righteous pick up gold that week at Genesis next Saturday? We'll have to find out. But a blockbuster way to start Impact with the Hardys and the Righteous. And, I love the Righteous. I've loved them in AEW. They didn't really, Ring of Honor, they didn't really get the look in that they're getting now. And as normal with these talents that they go to TNA, they get their opportunity. And I am very much looking forward to the Righteous against the Hardy Boys at Genesis. Another man looking for championship or looking to win back a championship is Steve Macklin. Now, of course, he will take on Channing Stacks Lorenzo later on in TNA, and he wants the International Championship back, and we'll find out if he gets it soon. But we begin with knockouts action. And what knockouts action we begin? It's the Battle of the Brits. It's Danny Luna from Dan South. It's Harley Hudson from Liverpool. And what a match these two had. Danny Luna right now is on the run of her life, to be quite honest with you. She is doing some amazing things in TNA wrestling. There's nothing that she can't do. That dog collar match with Indy Hartwell. It's been incredible. It really has been an incredible run for Danny Luna, and I believe that big things are on the horizon. This match was great, by the way. Danny Luna picking up the victory with the Luna landing on Harley Hudson, and she wasn't finished. She grabbed Myla Grace afterwards and planted her with the Luna landing. Out come Lei Ying Lee to try and save the day. But again, as she was distracted, Danny goes in and attacks her. She then also attacks Zaya Brookside and hits her with a Luna landing. But what this does mean is at Genesis next weekend, Danny Luna goes one-on-one with Lei Ying Lee for the TNA Knockouts Championship. And I believe this will be the moment in which Danny Luna wins the Knockouts Championship. Maybe a bit early in Lei Ying Lee's run, but my belief is Danny Luna wins that championship. And if she doesn't, it's a bit of a sticking point really for her in TNA. She's on a run at the moment where you need to win the championship. That's important, needing to win the championship. You get that when you're on that roll, when you're winning matches and you're on the run of your life, they need to take advantage of this. And TNA, while Danny's got everything going for her right now, she needs to win the championship. Will she? We'll find out. Genesis. And you can find out over here in the UK and Ireland and everywhere else on the TNA Plus app. Get it downloaded, get it subscribed. £9.99 a month gives you the lot. Impact, Genesis, pay-per-views, special shows from the vault, whatever, whenever. You've got it on the app. Get it, got it, good. Right. That leads me to Ryan Nemeth, who another week goes by, another super kick that he eats, and Myla Slade does that job for him, shall we say? And poor Ryan, he's not had enough. The turkey soup himself. He's not had a good time, has he, since that he getting the turkey suit and whatnot, and he's eating super kicks like they're going out of fashion right now on TNA. I wonder if he'll eat one next week on the AMC debut. We'll have to see. For good old Ryan. He's not quite got the fandom of his brother, has he? But nevertheless, Super Kick City for Ryan and MF as Order 4 are out next. And for the Genesis address. Um, well, they're going to get an address in a minute. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But before we get there, we go out the back. And apparently Mr. Elegance has been selected. Just need to check my emails. Ah, okay. Um, yeah, apparently he's been selected. The search is over, and and apparently he's been well. Apparently, the guy's been there for 80 TNA for 8 years. See if they can make him a star. We'll find out. That is for sure. But we go back, and Order 4 are in the ring for the Genesis address, and you know, they were chanting something. Mustafa Ali couldn't understand the chants. But he wants TNA to ban distractions like guitars, like cowboy boots and hands. Ali isn't really endearing himself to the crowd on TNA this week, but we do hear a sound of a guitar, and of course that guitar is Elijah. And as they try to find him, he threatens to hit Sorry Alderfor with a guitar, and they run into the crowd. But funny enough, they're standing right in front of a horse, and Elijah is pursuing Alderfor on a horse. But what has been made for Genesis is, of course, Mustafa Ali against Elijah. What was I talking about? Against Elijah has been confirmed for Genesis next Saturday night. Another great match. Ali has re-signed with TNA. He did, of course, confirm this. Can't get my words out. He did, of course, confirm this on an interview this past week conducted. Speaking of TNA interviews, keep your eyes peeled for our next TNA exclusive. I won't tell you who it is. It'll be announced later on today. So make sure you stick and wait for that announcement because it's a really, really interesting name from TNA that I'm interviewing. Can't wait to be able to speak to that person as well. And it was funny 'cause when it comes back from the commercial, Elijah's still on his horse going after Order 4. Anyway, serious business. International Championship match is next. This is Steve Macklin and Stax Lorenzo, of course, with Ariana Grace turning on Santino Marella. And I feel that like the match, as long as the match was going on, it was getting better and better and better. But then, it just the ending, I could see it coming a mile off, and I kind of knew it was coming. Um, I just thought, for me, it was a bit of a letdown. It does give the ending, sorry, of the match was Ariana Grace raking the eyes of Steve Macklin, causing a disqualification. She done it right in front of the referee. Um, and yeah, I suppose it keeps. Uh, I suppose it keeps Macklin strong. He can challenge again. I would assume for I suppose giving Chanik Stax Lorenzo the pinfall victory may have kind of moved Steve Macklin away from that scenario at the minute. But I feel as if now it does give Macklin another opportunity. Um, I'm just not, I don't know. I just think the finish could have been done a little bit differently. I'm not a fan of these finishes. I must say I'm not a fan of those. But look, it gets maybe another match down the line for Macklin and Stacks. So and again, maybe a longer match, maybe because it was, as I said, the match was really getting better at the point of where it got cut off. So or where the DQ happened. So yeah, a little bit disappointed with the ending, but a good match nevertheless. But of course, Stacks retains the international championship at that point. Leon Slater, on the other hand, come a bit short this week against Obafemi on NXT, which is a real shame. For him, considering Obafemi dropped the title in the ring afterwards, kind of he's going on to the main roster in WWE, so would have made sense for Leon to win it, maybe, but he didn't. So we move on. Now we move on to first class, or should we say first class no more, because AJ Francis and Rich Swann basically exploded on Impact. They do not like each other, and it was on an Impact digital airing, sorry, of Impact of the Penthouse, and how that's followed up is a match at Genesis. AJ Francis and Rich Swann is happening at Genesis. I've actually got the card, the majority of the card, right here. The Hardys versus the Righteous for the Tag Team Championships. The Knockouts World Championship, Lei Ying Lee and Danny Luna. The X Division Championship, which it will potentially be Leon Slater versus Moose versus Cedric Alexander, although Leon Slater does have Myron Reed next week on the Impact premiere, so that could change. But as it stands right now, it's Leon versus Moose versus Cedric Alexander. The final dance for JDC as he goes against his system brethren, Eddie Edwards, and it will bring to an end JDC's 20 odd plus year career in wrestling. Mustafa Ali and Elijah as well. Jeff, Rich Swann, and AJ Francis as well. And we're going to be re-seeing Joe Hendry at Genesis as well. So a nice surprise for the fans in attendance there. They'll also get Joe Hendry live at Genesis. So it'll be interesting because Joe Hendry obviously been in the WWE right now. So good to see him back Genesis next Saturday. However, next week on TNA, the big AMC live debut, it's gonna be the inspiration against the Elegance brand for the TNA Knockouts Championship. It's gonna be Elijah and the Hardys versus All the Four. And of course, the World Heavyweight Championship match between Frankie Kazarian and Mike Santana on next week's Impact. That is going to be a huge one. The AMC premiere, live premiere of Impact Wrestling. I am really looking forward to that. And we're not finished with this week's Impact. Oh, no, sir. It was the System versus Leon Slater versus Cedric Alexander versus the Hardys. And this was fantastic. This was a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant kind of semi-main event because we had the contract signing coming up as well. But this was, oh God, the four names in there already is just ridiculous. And I love it. I love this. I absolutely love this match. This was a fantastic main event for TNA. The final one on AXS. Leon is just a dream to watch, of course. The twist of fate into a net breaker was a great spot during this match as well. Really enjoyable match, but it was surprising because the finish of the match was actually Cedric Alexander pinning Moose. Now, if he does that next Saturday at Genesis, he becomes the X Division champion because obviously the X Division championship doesn't have to be doesn't have to be on the line. Doesn't have sorry, the X Division champion doesn't have to be pinned. And it was interesting because the match with Myron Reed that's scheduled for next week hasn't been confirmed yet. I thought it was a dead cert. So we might have to relook at that because looking down the list of what's been confirmed for next week, it's not one of them. So maybe that match isn't happening. next week. We'll have to wait and see. But what is happening next week is that World Heavyweight Championship between Mike Santana and Frank Kazarian, and they had their heated sign off, their contract signing for this match this week. Both men. I mean, Mike Santana feels like he's on an absolute mission to get this World Heavyweight Championship back. Frankie Kazarian is still the cocky champion that he is. However, there is now a wild card factor to take into consideration because Nick Nemeth, for those of you that don't know or forgotten, also won the Call Your Shot Gauntlet and also has an opportunity for that championship whenever he wants it. And he has said that once that match is finished, he is calling his shot at the World Heavyweight Championship. Nick Nemeth has been the king of the cash-in over the years. The Money in the Bank briefcase that he done in WWE, used that to absolute perfection. So Nick Nemeth as well is going to be gunning for that World Championship next week, which makes next Thursday even more of an interesting and watchable show on the AMC debut. Who will be your world champion going into Genesis? That's going to be the first question we're going to be needed to answer. Who are going to be the Knockouts championships, Knockouts champions, tag team champions going into Genesis as well? So many questions need to be answered and will be answered next Thursday on AMC, the debut live show for TNA. Of course, over here in the UK and Ireland, it will be on the TNA Plus app. Get it downloaded, get it subscribed. £9.99 a month, and you will get the lot. The impacts, the pay-per-views, the special shows, the vault, everything. You're missing out if you're not getting it. Ensure that you do that as well. And coming up on this channel, like I said, a TNA exclusive interview ahead of the big shows next week. And it is a great name from TNA that I've got, and I can't wait to share that name with you. Thank you all as ever for watching the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. You can follow us at HTT Buckle on X, at HTT Buckle on YouTube, at Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast, and all other social media outlets. Interviews galore dropping. We're recording a lot of interviews this month already set up. We'll tell you who they are once they've been done, of course. So keep it locked on all of our socials and you will not miss a beat. Big thank you for CCP Podcasting for having me on the show last week. I Love Wrestling is coming on. Justin, we're going to pick up from our conversation that we had on his podcast and bringing it over to Hitting the Turnbuckle this coming weekend. We're recording with that. Myself and David will be back to do the week in wrestling as well. So please ensure that you're watching all the shows. And we'll see you maybe tomorrow, maybe Sunday for some more Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. But until then, actually, we'll see you later when I record with a TNA exclusive. But until then, everybody, cross the line, stay safe, and goodbye.